All right. Welcome to the Huddle, everyone. It's me, Coach Muddle. I got a very special guest, former athlete, someone I coached. I got Sammy Moore. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Coach. How are you? Huge fan of the show.
Great. Thanks, man. We love you chiming in. We appreciate it. And I asked Sammy on tonight because he's a guy who's played in the state of Delaware. He played at the next level. And part of it is with the coaching change down here, it's year 4. I feel is the most important year of a coach's tenure is that 4th year, because when you come in, those freshmen are now seniors, and that tells you which way the program is going now. And when you and I think part of it that has skewed me is that the talk of how great you were or are and how you were taking the program to new heights when you got there, I think kind of soured me a little bit because now you've set that bar so high and you've come nowhere close to it.
I think the thing that angers, guys like you and I as well is not only you made this statement when you walked in the door, but you made this statement after you failed to meet the mark year after year after year. Had you have recanted after year 2 or year 3 even and been like, hey, we still got a lot of building to do. We're still feeling out the kids. We're still trying to figure out exactly what works for us to become the best program that we can be. Cool. I understand that totally. But to keep this facade that, you're this great and powerful program, and not only great and powerful, but you're better than what it was once before. That's where.
You haven't come close to the previous administration, so to speak. The previous staff left this program intact. I mean, granted, the last year kind of fell off, which I think was the only losing season that
in a while
they had, right? That staff had, because if you remember the first year, which I think you were there, were they 5-5? I think they were 5-5. And then from there they built on that, and they built.
The thing that is really disheartening is watching probably the definition of building up a program. You know what I mean? You have a team that was 0-10. Next year they go 1-9. New, like you said, new coaching staff comes in the building, immediately 5-5. Boom, right. Just like that. The next season after that, they've had those kids for just 1 year and 1 off season at that point, and they go 8-2, miss the playoffs because they play a team that didn't get them any points. The next year, they go 8-2, make the playoffs. So you see how you've gone from no wins to 1 win, 5 wins, 8 wins, no playoffs, 8 wins, playoffs. Yeah. From here, you're supposed to, you've got the plan. It's been laid out. To go backwards.
Yeah,
you know what I mean is.
And the thing is you your first year or 2, you could talk about the players you have, that they might not fit my thing, but one, this is high school. You're not out recruiting. It's not a private school. You're not out recruiting. You get the kids who you get. So you have to take that D and C talent and turn them into C's and B's. That's your job as a coach, is to coach them up to that level.
Yeah. The thing that you want to do as a coach, I mean, and I've only ever coached Pop Warner, so I can only speak on what coaches did for me. You know what I mean? When I was in programs, it's like, I'm not a power back. So don't put me in a power back offense, because I'm not your Derrick Henry. Right. I'm your speedy guy. So place me somewhere where speed kills, where I can use speed to my advantage to help the team. I just don't think that, coaches nowadays are evaluating the kids. They're more or less going in with a plan that, okay, we're going to run the power I. And so what if I don't have a power I, group of kids? That's what we're going to run. And then it ends up hurting these kids more than anybody, because that's not how they're built.
or I'm going to run the spread, even though I have a quarterback who can't throw the ball 5 yards. You
exactly.
know, you have to fit. And I think the team up the road in Georgetown does a great job of understanding his guys and you know, taking that traditional wing T and kind of morphing it into the talent that he has. And so you still see some of it, but he's able to morph it. And I think that's why they're so competitive year in and year out. And
it's just about adapting.
Just don't see that. Right. It's adapting to what you have.
Just adapt. You're not going to run the option with Big Ben. You're not going to do it. So, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, and like you said, taking that first year, that second year to, you know, evaluate your kids, evaluate the talent, you know, who do I have? What can they do? Who's fast? Who's strong? And seeing, you know, what offense is best for them, what defense is best for them. How can we be the best team? Because like you're saying, if you put these pieces in places that they not just don't fit, but don't belong,
right,
you're asking for trouble.
Right. I mean, it's like, you know, the game you and I were at, you know, you see a 300-pound nose tackle, all of a sudden he's playing outside linebacker. Well, that makes no sense to me. Why is he there? You know, I mean, it's just those simple things, and I'll get into the defensive part of it in a second. But I just feel like it is you know, you have almost 2,000 kids in the school, and you know, so okay, half are boys, half are girls. So you have 1,000 kids, 1,000 boys, and you're telling me you can't. You know, the last 3 years the freshman class has grown tremendously.
Yeah,
and you're telling me you had to cut the freshman program. I mean, to me, that makes zero sense. In the fact that a lot of those freshmen have not developed yet. And you're going to put them on a JV with juniors that didn't make varsity and get crushed. And it hurts. The problem is today, I feel like there is so many, you have fall baseball, you have lacrosse and basketball almost year round and all this other stuff. So if you don't make it fun, because you can't have guys aren't going to hold bags for 4 years just to walk down senior night. That isn't going to happen. It is, you know, they're out the door unless you can make it fun and give them some PT and go ahead.
Even at the I know at least at the D3 level, you've got your JV teams, and those JV teams are designed for the guys that don't get playing time, because the last thing you want is, like you said, to have these sophomores and juniors and seniors and seeing real competition a day in their life. Or like you said, they've been sitting on JV for so long, getting crushed. Then now they get to the varsity level. How do you expect them to know how to win? They've been losing for the last 3 years.
Right.
A winning mentality is not something you just wake up and decide to have.
Right.
It's built off of winning. You know, you have to learn to win. You know, there's a great quote that, you know, winning is a habit, but unfortunately so is losing.
Right.
You get to losing so much that it's like, this is all I know how to do. I want to win, but I've been losing for 3 years.
But before that, though, you have to learn how to not lose, because a lot of times you just get in and you're used to that. You know, I always call it quicksand. You know, you get into that quicksand, you start moving, and you just keep sinking. The more you fight and try, the quicker you start sinking. So it is trying to get yourself out of that quicksand mode, and
absolutely,
and learn how to win. And it starts with practice. And my biggest thing too is, you know, it's one place I've been, no in-season workout. I've never been in a place where there was no in-season workout. I mean, every professional and college team in the country and most high school teams have in-season workouts in the weight room.
I thought they were mandatory.
Right. You know, I mean, so I just don't get it, you know, that they're not in the weight room and you know, and the injuries pile up. But part of that, I think too, is when you're losing and you get hurt, man, that injury lingers a little bit longer.
Do I want to get healthy so I can go get busted on Friday night? No.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I saw a game, this past week where, most of the seniors are sitting there watching because I think they just didn't want to take the pounding that was, when you have one of the top teams in the state.
Exactly. That, and it also comes from the top because, I had, coaches walk in to turn programs around. And the first thing they said to us, got the whole football team in front. First thing they say is, the era of losing here is over. You guys, it's the ball's in your court. Do you want to, some of you have 2 years, some of you have a year left. Do you want to go out as losers, or do you want to do your best to turn this program around and get things done and work hard? And that comes from the top. It has to come from the top. Right. You know what I mean? It's about having a group of, coaches and an administration and, a group of people that can prepare you. And when I say prepare, I mean in every single aspect. Are you teaching me the proper stances, the proper alignments? The biggest thing that I'm not really seeing today is, are you teaching me football? I know that as a DB, in man coverage, I'm aligned in 1x7. Do I know what the linebacker's doing to make my job easier? Do I know what the safeties are doing to make my job easier? It's kind of one dimensional nowadays, and it's kind of like these kids aren't really learning football. They're just kind of almost being thrown into a lion's den with half-assed knowledge, and then it's unfortunate that they kind of take the brunt of the blame when at the end of the day they're just not prepared at all.
Right. It's the Jimmy and the Joes. We got too many Joes, not enough. You know what? At some point, and
are Jimmy and Joe prepared to be out here?
Right. But and that's my point. At the high school level, it is the coach. You have to coach, and anybody could put X's and O's on a board. Mm-hmm. Anybody can call a play from a sheet, but can you teach the technique that is required for that play? All 11 guys, if you're the coordinator, offense or defense, do you know what all 11 guys are supposed to do? And just don't tell, he needs to drop back and beat play in the zone. Well, how does he do that? Exactly. I mean that's you've got to know. You can't say, well, I've never coached that position, so I don't really know. Well, no, that's an excuse. You need to know. Then you need to go to a program that runs what you're trying to run so that you can talk to those guys and understand what they're doing. That's the whole purpose of clinics and whatnot, is so that you can understand the different things of what's going on, the different parts of offenses or defenses, and
that's the bigger issue, is that you've got coaches that have never played DB being DB coaches. You've got coaches that have never played the lineman position or coached the lineman position, coaching the lineman, and it's not any disrespect to the coaches, but it's you have to ask the question: if you've never done this, how are you supposed to teach anybody else how to do this? Right. It's like you might have read a book that said, in zone coverage, this is what a DB does. This is how you align. But do you actually know the hundreds of scenarios that take place every single play that you have to prepare these players for? Because if you don't, again, you're just throwing these kids out there with half a brain and expecting them to be great.
Yeah, but and most guys, like as a defensive coordinator, I can say, I may have coached safeties. I've never coached the corners. I've been the safety coach. So but the corners now. So I gotta go to somewhere and find out where they run my defense and how do you coach your corners and make sure that I'm there live in their practice, in their walkthrough, and I'm watching film. And I mean, how important the film is, of watching film and being able to see what you're doing on film, because in your mind, you played a perfect game. That was the perfect play. But then when you watch it on film, how many times, Sammy, what are you doing here? How many times does that come up, right? And you think, oh man, I just made a great play. But
in the great coaches I've had, they've taken. It's easy to call out somebody. Oh, Sammy, you're out of position. That's easy to see on film. Right. It's when I had an interception but before the interception, I did something wrong.
Right.
Great job, Sammy. You had a pick. But before that, you were out of position. Look at your feet. Look at this. Look at that. You have to have those coaches that nitpick because, certain players at a certain point, they're going to stop growing because it's, coach doesn't say anything to me anymore. Everything I'm doing is perfect. I don't need to change anything.
Right.
You need to have those coaches that are nitpicking every single thing that you're doing, even on the great plays. I don't care if you jumped around and got a pick 6. I need to see, how are you running when you got this pick? Did you do something that could have been a penalty when you got this pick 6? Any little thing to make you better.
Right. And it's funny, and I asked a couple of kids at D linemen, on a 3rd and long, what's your first 3 pass rush moves? And they look at you like, what are you talking about?
I just rush.
but you have to have in your mind that I'm going to rip, swim, spin, or something, how I'm getting to the quarterback. What are those moves? Because you can't just figure it out on the fly. It doesn't work that way.
Not at all.
It's not, because that dude's going to smack you in the mouth and you're not thinking right. You need to know, this is what I'm doing. I'm coming in. And I that's the thing. It's not that this team gets in a lot of 3rd and long situations and they're able to do that, but it's just something that, geez, you don't really know how to rush the passer. Well, that comes from who's the D-line coach. What are you teaching? What are you teaching? What is
exactly?
What are you teaching them? I mean, you just going to play belly ball? I mean, I remember I had a job, coaching homeschool, and the defensive line coach, he run this drill, and I'm like, we're running a gap defense. Gap means in the gap. Where you're teaching belly ball. This is wrong. We need to, you're
going to have kids leaving the assignments.
This is the problem. This is why we're getting gashed here, coach, because this guy is doing the wrong thing. He needs to line up in the C gap and go straight through the C gap. He can't go and play belly ball with the guard. I mean, it's
like you said, it's all about it. It's kind of like following the problem. You follow the little, the trail of problems all the way back to the big problem, the thing that's creating them. And it's just, you have to have. It's not necessarily competent. You know what I mean? It's just you have to have people in the building that know what they're doing and know what they're talking about. Right. Because we can say it 100 times. You can't have people out there winging it. Because number one, that's how you're going to get hurt. You're going to get kids hurt a lot. And number two, you're going to lose a lot of ball games because backyard football only works for so long and against certain teams. Right. You can't just be out there willy-nilly and expect to win ball games and then even be upset when you're losing. Right. You can have a plan. You can have, we want to come in and run. Okay, what happens when the run doesn't work?
Right.
What happens? What happens? You know what I mean? You have to have a plan B, plan C, all the way to Z. And it's to have that, you have to have these kids prepared. And to have these kids prepared, you yourself as a coach have to know what the hell you're doing.
Right. And that takes me back, because here's a big play in their offense is rolling the quarterback out. Well, if the quarterback is right-handed, why are you rolling him out to the left? And he can't get his shoulder squared to the line to make the throw.
The guy's not Aaron Rodgers. We don't have Aaron Rodgers level quarterbacks at the high school.
But that's the problem, Sammy, is because kids see that on TV. And when you're not being coached right, well, I just see him do it this way. I can do it that way. Well,
yeah, Patrick Mahomes is throwing no looks. Why can't I throw no looks?
Right, exactly. I could do that, but you can't because you're not. He's done it a million times. You're trying to do it once in a pressure situation.
And it's like you saw Patrick Mahomes, like you said, you saw Patrick Mahomes do a no-look pass once in all the games he's played. Once or twice you've seen it. God knows how many times he's done it at practice. Right. He's not going out, like you said, he's not going out there willy-nilly, let me try this.
Right.
No, he's done that at practice thousands and thousands and thousands of times with the same players on the same play. He knows exactly where his guy's going to be, why he can put the ball there, when he can't put the ball there. But like you said, it's just these social media, no one, it's easy to type in a, highlight film. No one wants to go to the lowlights. No one wants to go see the work that's put in. It's, I saw Aaron Rodgers roll out to the left and throw a pass across his body. I'm going to go out there and do that. No, Aaron Rodgers practices that. 1,000 times.
And here it's funny because I when I first got to the school down here, I got into a fight with a parent because, my kid needs a highlight tape. I'm like, no, he doesn't need a highlight tape. He just needs game film.
Yeah.
No, it's a highlight tape. No, I coached college football, and a highlight tape is great, but I'm watching a whole game film because I want to see when the ball goes away from you, what are you doing? Are you the guy just standing around? Are you taking those plays off? What's the guy? I want to know the guy. You learn a lot from the guy watching the game film, not just, anybody can put a highlight tape together and string, 2 minutes of plays. But I mean,
and that's the funny thing. That's the funny thing I didn't learn until I got to the next level of ball, where it was like, okay, these guys have a 4-minute highlight video. Okay, well, they had 11, 12 games in high school. A game's an hour. So where's the rest of your film? Right. You showed me 5 minutes of you being great in these, 20, 30 plays. Where is you when, like you said, the play was going away? Where was you blocking? Where was you doing all these things? What were you doing on the sidelines when your team needed you? Were you dicking around in the back on the sidelines, or were you cheering your teammates on? It's everything. It's everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's, and obviously I'm at the Division I level, so I'm investing $100K into you, basically. I mean, go and walk into the bank and ask for $100K. They're going to laugh at you. So, but here you are as a 17, 18-year-old kid that some school wants to invest $100,000 into you.
Exactly.
So you don't think they're not going to do their due diligence and, talk to your teachers, talk to coaches and look at a whole game film.
Right.
They're not making $100,000 decision on a 2 or 3 minute highlight reel.
Never. It'll never happen.
Right.
And if it does, show me that school.
Yeah, show me that
so I can send my son there.
Exactly.
It's just different. It's a totally different style of ball nowadays. It's really because of the mentality of either the players or the coaches, or a combination of both, where it's like the work doesn't have to be put in. You can just the lights come on Friday night, you switch that switch in your head and you're great. And it's like, I've never thought or been taught that that's the way that it works. Right. You bust your ass for an entire week in practice, and when the lights go out, you're working. Before the lights come on, you're working, just so that hour of ball on Friday night, you can be at your best. And it's like, it's kind of like these, like I said, these kids just want to flip that switch on Friday nights, and it's just not working even a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about a team in this year that has given up 341 points and have only scored 198. And I don't know, maybe my math is off, but I'm just going off of max preps of what they say, and you're 1-9. And now the new format, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody gets a trophy. So now you're a 1-9 team going into the playoffs.
Let me tell you something.
Playoffs.
Let me tell you something, Coach. I'm looking at these. I guess they're called all district teams now.
Right.
Where you really only have to compete with 4 schools, 5 schools. And I'm thinking back, I know when I played, I had to compete with half the state.
Yep.
Half the kids in the state. That's 100 plus kids in my position. And you're making those teams. If you send me back and say, oh, Sam, you only got to, Sam, what are you, a running back, a wide receiver? You've only got to compete with these other 10 running backs and wide receivers over here. Well, how hard am I going to work? I don't got to compete against anybody. And, what's sad is that mentality drizzles over to a bigger picture where, like you said, 1-9 gets you in the playoffs. Do I want to go to a playoff game at 1-9? No, I don't.
But let's go, let's look at the one win is, one win was against a team that was I hate to say worse than you. I mean, but they moved the ball. They marched down the field, and for some reason, when they got in the red zone, they decided to do different things because they were just gashing them all the way down the field. They got inside the red zone three times, and 3 times they were able to get stops,
right?
Because they changed what they were doing for some reason. And I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
So, I mean, they're very easily a 0-10 team, which still would have made the playoffs, by the way.
Which is ridiculous, Coach. Like,
I know.
Why do that? You get nothing out of it. You don't teach any kids anything. I
was all for expanding it because how many times did we miss the playoffs? You know, we were 7-3, 8-2. How does an 8-2 team miss the playoffs? You know,
when they're playing their best ball,
right?
How does an 8-2 team they lost by a total of 8 points all season?
Yep.
You know, you got guys that are saying, "Oh, you guys were 8-2, but you didn't beat a team with a winning record." You know, you lost to a team by 1 point with a winning record. Then you lost to the eventual state champions by a score.
Right.
Did that team deserve to be in the playoffs? Absolutely, it did. If I'm not mistaken, that team had a 2,000-yard rusher.
Right. That's right.
They were doing something right.
Yes, absolutely.
And now the question that I have for you, Coach, is does this team making the playoffs put them above other teams with better records that didn't make the playoffs? Because they got a playoff berth. They got a playoff berth, Coach.
But it doesn't matter. You're 1-9. You're 1-9. It doesn't matter. You're 1-9 and you're one and done. It's not like you're going into the playoffs and
to make a run.
Because you're not making a run. You're one and done. You know, you're one and done. You're going to face a team that is, you know, because the winner of this is going to face Middletown. I was
going to say like the number 1 or number 2
they're
seed.
the number 1 or 2 seed, but they're a juggernaut. Their only losses to a team from the private school out of Philadelphia. What is that, St. Joe's? That's the only loss they have. They've got 3 Division I kids on their offense. You know, so they're a juggernaut, and when you're going to go and, you know, so the team that you're going to face, that's their rivalry game. They get to play a rivalry game again. So you don't think you're going to go up there and have a chance at 1-9 to play against a team that's 7-3, I believe, and they are, you know, their 3 losses were legit. Like, you know, they didn't lose to any slouches, you know.
Yeah, scrubs.
No scrubs. They have some legit losses on their schedule. So I just think you're just going, it's a long bus ride up and it's going to be a long bus ride back.
And going back to like the beginning of our conversation, this is what makes kids not want to play. You know, you just lost 9 games, you know, in a season. Now you're telling me that, you know, oh, you went 1-9. Congrats, you're making the playoffs. Now go to your first playoff game and get waxed again.
So you're going to be the season 1-10.
Who wants to play? Who wants to play ball?
Who
wants to play ball when the head coach walks in and says, we won't be good for 4 years? Okay, well, the sophomores, juniors, and seniors can now leave the room because they've just been told they're not winning shit.
Right.
And the freshmen work hard enough to make the program something that was already something before you guys got here.
You know, and you have a defense out there. Like I said, they've given up 341 points according to Max Preps. I mean, you're on the verge of, you know,
being historically bad.
Yes, but I mean, and I thought that the team that you were on, I thought that defense was unsound. And granted, we had a 2,000-yard rusher. We won a lot of games. We scored very quickly and jumped out to a lead. So it kind of threw shade on how unsound that defense was, because as you know, I mean, literally got into arguments in the coaching staff meetings about it. But this defense is more unsound. You got one corner at 4 yards, the other corner is at like 10 yards, and your safety is at 8 yards. I mean, what's going on? There's nothing sound about that.
It's technique. Like we said, it boils down to technique. Are you coaching these kids up, and are you making sure that they're reading their keys and they're lined up properly? Or are you just saying these things at practice, and come game time, you're letting them do whatever the hell they want?
Right.
Because if that's what you're doing, you're not going to win any ball games. You're not going to win any ball games. The thing that helped our defense when we were there was, like you said, we might give up 21 points, 20 points or whatever, but we're going to score 40.
We were the number one scoring offense in the state.
We're going to score 40, 50 points. Right. Against Central, I think they won the states that year. That was like a 35-28 game.
Yep.
You got team, we were scoring points. Might not have been able to stop everybody on the defensive end, but we didn't necessarily have to, because again, right, we could score on anybody. Right. It wasn't a matter of, oh God, we got to hold them to 14 because we can't score. Right. No, you guys get your 21, we'll get our 35.
Right. And that's the problem. I think this offense here is a 14 on its best night, 14 to 21 point offense.
Right.
And
they have no room for error on defense.
Right. But defensively, you're giving up, 30, almost 35 points a game.
Like you said, it really boils down to you have to put these kids in positions to succeed. I understand that you might have a vision. I want this spread offense, and I want my quarterback to throw for 3,500 yards. Cool. That's a great vision. That's a great goal to have. But if you get there and your quarterback's not a gunslinger, you don't have 2 or 3 good wide receivers in the room, you don't have a line that can pass block for 3, 4, 5 seconds for those long plays to develop.
Right.
You got to rethink strategy, because if you don't, you're gonna, like we said 100 times, you're gonna lose a lot of ball games. You're gonna put these kids in positions to fail.
But when your quarterback is not a football guy, and there's a lot of kids that are not football guys, they play in another sport. Mm-hmm. But if you want to be part of the program, you do have to put in the work.
You got to buy in.
You got to buy it. You got to get yourself better and make yourself better. And when your quarterback has been starting for 4 years and is making the same basic mistakes from day one to year 4, then you need to have somebody else in there to replace him. And that has been the problem is you're not giving enough time to your backups. And that was a big issue with me, because I feel like, especially when we were up big, why are we not putting the younger guys in sooner? Because when somebody goes down, they're used to the bright lights. Let's not put them in a pressure situation.
Right. Yeah.
Right off the bat, because it's going to end bad, and
like
that's the thing.
And the last thing you want is for your starting running back to go down. You throw in your freshman or sophomore running back who's never been in a Friday night game before, and now they're out there, doing God knows what. Now you're down your starting running back, and your backup running back hasn't a clue. So now you can't run the ball anymore.
Right.
And like you said, freshman program is gone, so these kids have no real experience. JV football in Delaware is not. You're honestly getting nothing out of it. So you really have to get these kids in position. You have to get them as much exposure as you possibly can. And back to your point of being football guys. Ah, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm recruiting a guy that's not a football. I want a 3-sport athlete, a 2-sport. I want that guy. But I also, at the same time, you got to put the work in. But you also got to put the work in. So there's a disconnect right now between coaches and players, because if your quarterback is not putting in the time, who's supposed to be the leader of that team, then
how can you expect anyone else to put the time in?
But you know what? Because we had our quarterback back in our day. He was a baseball guy. But he put in the work. Football.
But he bought into football.
Right.
more than damn near half the team. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like you said, you get to a point where it's like, yeah, this is our quarterback, but he's really focused on lacrosse. Okay, so is that a cool excuse for the rest of the team?
Right.
Can the rest of the team be not 100% invested in the team and they all start too? Is that cool? Because
right.
if that's how you're operating your program for the 99th time, you ain't gonna win a lot. You need these kids to buy into the program and to be football guys when it is football season. If you're a lacrosse guy, cool. Be a lacrosse guy when the clock hits zeros on the final football game. Then the next morning you can turn your ass around and go to that lacrosse practice, that lacrosse camp, whatever. It is not fair to your teammates that you're out here not really giving a damn about this game because you don't even care about football and you're just going to go win a state title in lacrosse next season anyway. That's not fair to anybody.
Right.
And it goes back to your point where it's kind of like we're in this era of can't make this player mad because, you know, his dad is this guy and I don't want to have that conversation. So leave him in anyway. Like, no, man, if you're not getting the job done, you gotta go. It's not about your feelings. It's not about, oh, me and your dad might not be cool anymore. You're the football coach. Your job is to win football games. You put the best players in position to do that. It's not about whose mommy and daddy contribute to the school. It's not about, oh, I've known this kid since he was 5. Who cares? Who cares? There was plenty of guys, you know, my junior year, I ended up starting over a senior. He got injured, but once he got back off of injury, he didn't get his spot back over me. He moved out to wide receiver and became one of the best wide receivers the best wide receiver we had on the team. It wasn't about, oh, he's a senior, his mommy and daddy or so-and-so. No, I was a great wing. He's a great wide receiver. Together, you know, we won games like that.
Right.
And it's just like you got to protect feelings nowadays, which is costing teams wins.
But part of that, though, I think that's a way to you can fix that. And that happens with, you know, having the meeting with the parents at the beginning of the season and letting them know this is how I run my ship. Mm-hmm. Okay. So and I'm running it this way, A, B, and C. So this is what's going to happen. And if that doesn't jive with you, there's the door. There's free choice. You could choice your kid to another school.
Yeah, go to
that. I'm fine with that. But I'm running the program this way, and I will find my best 11 for Friday night. But at the lower level, and the only way, and I learned this, Dan Morrison was the OC at University of Houston for or SMU for God, he coached at Hawaii for a while. Used to always wear the lei. June Jones. Okay. So, and I got an opportunity because the offensive coordinator on my staff knew him. They were friends. We got to go down there, hang out with them for a week. And I remember him telling me if you're coaching a high school level, your best 11 play on Friday night, no matter what their age or whatever, because you're out there to win. But everything else, it's 11 in and 11 out. You figure it out how to put 11 in and 11 out because you get every kid to play and you will have numbers like you won't believe because every kid, all of a sudden, kid comes by, oh, man, I played yesterday. You did? Really? Oh, I want to play. And that grows because guess what? What was your record in middle school? No one knows. No one cares.
Exactly.
You know what they care about? Did you win a ring on Friday night?
What have you done for me lately?
Right. But that's how you're remembered. No one cares about your DV, your freshman, your middle school record. It's about 11 in and 11 out and rotating all those kids in and understanding, you know. And maybe it's not 11 in, 11 out each play. Maybe it's a series. Maybe it's a quarter. But getting guys in there, and that's the only way you're going to develop guys and to develop them in and running a program of your middle school program. You know, like the wing T has their 4 base plays. It's all you need to run in middle school. Here's our base defense. Here's our 4 plays. That's all you need. I don't care about wins. I want you technique. So when they show up to the high school, they know those 4 plays inside and out. And we can move on and start adding to the playbook.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
It's kind of crazy. But I know, Sammy, I've got you here longer than you probably.
Oh, you're gravy train. You're gravy train. Yeah. If I didn't have daddy duty, we'd go for another 30 minutes,
bro.
Anytime, we'll have to get back on and do this.
Anytime, you're welcome. Anytime, brother. I love having you on. We talk football all day long. It's been great,
Absolutely.
man. I really appreciate you having you on. So anytime, you let me know, and we'll do it. Hey, say hi to Gary for me when you see him.
Oh, absolutely. I will. Absolutely. Thank you, Coach. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. All right. There you go. That's I thought I got you off. There you go. All right. There you go. That's Sammy Moore, man. Great kid. Love that kid. And I should have had him plug his job and stuff, and I didn't. Next time I have him on, I'll have him plug his job. Great stuff talking about. I could do that for hours. I love it. Appreciate everybody checking you out. And remember, we tape this, but if you do want to call, the number across the screen there, I'll put it up one more time. If you want to leave a voicemail, go ahead and do so. You want to text that number, text it in, go ahead and text it to us. And you want to talk about any of that stuff, we appreciate it. All the love that you give. Make sure you share it out with your friends. Tell your friends about it. Go over to YouTube, like it, ring the bell, subscribe, get notifications. We love it. And I apologize, it's not live. It's travel day for me Thursday night, so I won't be able to. But we will be live Sunday. Nevada Nick, Stiz, the whole crew will be in Sunday morning. We'll be rocking and rolling and getting ready for a big Sunday matchups, man. It's going to be fun, exciting. Please join us on Sunday. Everyone, thank you, and we will definitely see you on Sunday.